about it, but I certainly like the Twin City motif, let's put it that way. And I went there last night with the fellas. We had to wait for Bill. It was flower day for the missus, anniversary day, so we got that taken care of. We got on the bus, Tori moaning and groaning about how he had to wait for the bus. Babchak coming up with his asinine questions, and that is where the media day has really fallen off in the 30 years that I have done it. I mean, I remember media days in 1990, 1991. You go right up to Joe Montana with four of the guys and get a good question in and get a little conversation going, or with Bill Walsh, or with Parcells, or with Marv Levy. Nowadays, you can't do that because you got a lot of Babchaks running around there, trying to get reaction that is something goofy to supplement the endless stream of nonsensical AM morning shows, which our program on our channel leads the league in the morning men. And so that was Babchak's job last night. Let me see if I can antagonize James Harrison. But anyway, the big picture of the night was we all went. We all took part in it, and despite the fact that I was perplexed at poor Bruce Beck, the local sportscaster at WNBC in New York, who is now stuck on a sojourn through hell. He had to leave New York yesterday morning. He came to this frozen tundra to cover this Super Bowl that does not involve a New York team, and then the great Bruce has to do 6 days here, filing reports for the 6 and 11 o'clock news on local television, and then board an aircraft, 95 people, an NBC charter, to go to that godforsaken place, which is Korea, to follow the Winter Olympics, and he's gone for a month. Oh, my God. He better be making a fortune, because anybody who got stuck on that trip is it. So I was mesmerized by that. But I wanted to get a little sense. New England went first last night, and the Eagles went second. And everybody told me that everybody bailed after the Patriot media day deal. And I went to the Patriot one, had a little something to eat, and then I left. And everybody tells me, the Zimmermans of the world, and I could sense it myself, that this is a New England Super Bowl. I mean, I know that Brady, with the whole deal with the EEI radio station early yesterday, and I did EEI today, by the way, but the early yesterday with Brady, basically taking the ball away from the basketball court. If you're going to say something bad about me, we're not going to play. I'm not going to play nice. Well, to make a long story short, that was a big theme. Brady addressed it some last night, but the Patriots are your story here at Super Bowl 52. I mean, the Eagles are an afterthought. Nobody thinks the Eagles are going to be that effective in the game. The Eagles started second last night, and from what I was told, half the audience or half the media left. They had their dinner and they got on buses and they zipped on back to Bloomington, and they didn't stick around to hear Doug Peterson and Nick Foles and Fletcher Cox. And I think that feeds right into the Eagle deal here as far as this game goes. This is going to be a Brady at 40, the great Belichick, the Belichick Parcells 30 for 30 was discussed a lot last night. That's ESPN 8 o'clock. I'll be into that Thursday night. The great Belichick and his mentor Parcells, if you want to call him that. The idea that, and they were never that close when they both worked on the same staff. That I know. But I think they have grown close in appreciation of what each did accomplish. Parcells, Hall of Fame, Belichick was there, and obviously Belichick, paying his due respect to the great Parcells in the 30 for 30. But, I mean, the Patriots were your story. Amendola got a lot of love. Everybody's into him right now. He's got that girlfriend of his, Miss Universe, whatever she is. I mean, they're all crazy on that. Brady is Brady. No Gronkowski, so a lot of questions on him. Belichick, shirt and tie, was not mumbling, did a good job. Kraft can't get enough of this stuff, but this was a Patriot fiesta. Festival at the XL Center last night, and from what they told me, I didn't stay around for it. That might tell you everything you need to know. But from what I was told, the Eagles were a complete afterthought, which, again, I think plays perfectly for the Eagles as far as the game goes. I really do. I think it plays perfectly for the Eagles as far as the game goes. Everybody expects, I don't want to call it a coronation because we all know that the Eagles play close Super Bowls, and we all know that the Eagles got a little chip on their shoulder right now. But I think most people think you can't bet against Brady and Belichick in a big game. I mean, that's the theme that I've heard these last 2 days. You have to take Brady and Belichick in a big game. Doesn't always work that way. I had that theme in the AFC Championship game, and the Pats, although one did not cover, and you're giving away 4.5 to 5 in this game. So you can play that angle, and Belichick might win, and Brady might win 23-20, but you're going to lose your play if you took the Pats. But I think it plays perfectly to what the Eagles want to do here. They're going to run that disrespect card. They ran it throughout the NFC playoffs, but they were being the underdog to Atlanta in the divisional game. They were the underdog to the Vikings in the championship game. They're the underdog in this game. The backup quarterback that nobody gives a hoot about, Nick Foles. Wentz is out of there, and if they had Wentz, different story. But without Foles, or with Foles in there, they don't have a prayer against Brady. And I understand all that, and I get it. If you want to play that card, and you want to think the Patriots with the combination of the B&B, the Belichick and Brady, that they can't lose the game, I'll buy that. And it's very difficult to bet against them. But there's a lot the Eagles have going for them. A lot of people will tell you that the Eagles, are bigger, stronger, and faster if you take the quarterback out of the equation than the Patriots are. The Eagles, again, the disrespect card. If the Eagles had Wentz in this game, you would think they might even be a favorite because, and it's very odd that the Eagles, who have not won a championship in 58 years, a long dry spell for an NFL team, it is odd that the savior of the franchise, who is Wentz, who is on his way to winning the MVP, it's funny, in the year that they might win a Super Bowl, it's the backup quarterback who does it and not the starting quarterback. How strange is that? Who would have thought that the Eagles would break their 60-year dry spell with Nick Foles instead of Carson Wentz? Well, that very well could happen now on Sunday afternoon. It reminds me a lot of the Hostetler game against Buffalo. It really does. That Super Bowl in 1990, I was at that game. I thought there was no way the Giants could win. I thought that Buffalo's AFC Championship game performance, when they put 50 on the board against the Raiders, was too dominant. The Giants were very fortunate to beat San Francisco. They got a huge fumble, remember, by Roger Craig late in that game, which set up the game-winning field goal by Chris Barr, or was it Matt Barr? One of the Bars of 42, Matt Barr of 42 yards to kick the field goal and win the NFC for the football Giants. And then they went right on, of course, to Tampa, and they played offense to beat the Bills. They deserved to win the game. They overpowered, in a lot of ways, their offensive line, the Bills' defensive line. Great performance by Otis Anderson. You can make an argument he should have been the MVP. They gave it to Thurman Thomas. Buffalo's last drive, although a good one, did end up on a 48-yard field goal attempt. One thing about the Buffalo last drive, and, Norwood getting yelled at left and right about missing the kick, for the Hall of Fame Kelly, you got to do a better job than letting your field goal kicker try a 48-yarder to win the Super Bowl. I mean, if you're Kelly, you got to put your team down in a situation where it's almost a chip shot. And he did not do that in that game. I always thought that way about Kelly, and I will never change my mind. That was a long field goal outdoors on grass with a lot of pressure for Norwood to have to make. And Kelly never got the grief for that, and Norwood has. And that always bothered me. But this Philadelphia team reminds me a lot of that Giant team. I mean, Hostetler, and it's almost like both starting quarterbacks. Remember, Sims was the starting quarterback. They got hurt the same week. I mean, they got first week in December, Phil goes down, broken foot against the Bills, and Wentz goes down, torn ACL against the Rams. Very similar. The only difference is that the Giants had won in 86 and the Eagles haven't won since 60. So there's a difference there. The Giants had won a championship in the past. And the Eagles obviously are going up against a tougher opponent than Buffalo with all this unbelievable experience and the greatest quarterback of all time and the best coach. Marv Levy and Jim Kelly are not that. So there were some differences, but I just have a funny feeling that the Eagles are going to play a huge game here on Sunday afternoon. I really do. I mean, yes, Doug Peterson, he's had a great postseason, but now he's matching wits against a genius. And Foles, who knows? Maybe he goes 13 for 32 with 3 picks. I mean, he's got it in him to do that. So if you bet the Eagles, you're betting a lot on those two, Peterson and Foles, to be competitive with Brady and Belichick, and that's asking a lot. But there is something about the Eagles here in this game that would scare the daylights out of me if I'm New England. And I know it's an intangible. There are tangibles that scare the daylights out of me. A very good defensive line, a good defense, chip on their shoulder, and all those things. But the intangible, although the chip on the shoulder is an intangible, the intangibles about this game kind of is what I just mentioned with the chip on the shoulder. The Eagles last night, now I don't know if they sensed it. I don't know if anybody's going to tell them. I don't know if the Philadelphia media cares, but the Eagles last night were an afterthought in this media day. Who cares? The Eagles are here. Now, Philadelphia doesn't think that way, but the rest of the country does. And everybody told me that the Eagles handled that press conference very well yesterday. Loosey-goosey, dying to get going here. They had fun with the idea of now the Patriots have done this a million times. They might be bored with the media day deal. The Eagles, it's a new experience for them. So you got to put that in the equation when you try to evaluate it. But, the Eagles enjoyed the experience last night, which shows me they're a loosey-goosey team. And I'm telling you right now, they are a team to be reckoned with on Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. They will be a dangerous football team when they take this field. I'm telling you right now. Be careful. Be careful. Quarter after the hour, we continue. Mad Dog Unleashed.